What's up, guys? It's Snugs, and today we are going to go into the map, go play Ritual, and I'm going to show you what you should be picking up, what items you should be looking for, what bases you should be looking for, and just a couple quick tips to help get you rolling. I made a couple previous videos, and one of the things that I'm seeing in the comments is you didn't help because this doesn't help me get to the step that I want to be at. And today, this video is explaining the earlier steps and how you actually get to that first audience, and how you kind of keep your currency up as you're going so that when you do get to those audiences, you can afford to not just sell it and actually progress further in the strat. The whole thing is you don't want to sell your audiences at first because it comes back to the whole idea of you invest, right? You spend money to make money. And by actually killing that boss, it's going to net you a lot more profit in the long run than by you selling, you know, before you get your points in the Atlas tree. If I hit Control U here, it'll show. Before you actually get your first points, 1 point... So one point that somebody brought up in the video is that you could go Promise Devotion for your very first point. Then once you get your second points, you could go Ominous Portents, then He Approaches, because this is really the big node, right? This is the big node that makes this all works, that we're farming audiences. In 4 hours, we got 2 last night. We also got an Omen of Whittling. We also got 3 Raw Divines. That's not including any of the items that I pull out of the window or anything like that. Now, granted, that is with Temporalis, right? So that's an expedited, faster version of the game. But the point is still the same. Without Temporalis, it just takes a little bit longer. But anyway, I'm going to go on a map here real quick, and let's go ahead. Rust Bowl is a decent one, sure. And I'm going to just open a Ritual window, and I'm going to start looking through items, and I'm going to show you what I'm thinking and what's going through my head as I'm doing the strategy. A quick note before I start this map, there is a YouTuber named ZBoob. I will put his link to his YouTube channel and the video that I'm talking about in the description down below. He has an item filter that I am using that I think is arguably the best. And by having a really good item filter that points out more of what you should be looking for and less of what you shouldn't be looking for, really expedite help your game and help you progress into the later stages of the game. Even if you don't have a ton of time to play like I do, using your time wisely and efficiently will help you get to that end game position faster than somebody who is not, just plain and simple. But let's go ahead and go into this map. I'm going to search for Ritual. Hopefully it's not too laggy. I'm using a different, see how this is blue? This item that's blue, Expert Hexer's Robe. These are one of the best bases right now for Spark. Spark is the #1 by far played build, which I am currently playing right now. And so when we are looking specifically at gear that we're picking up off the ground or Ritual, if it can be used in Spark, there is a larger market for it. Thus, a lot of the items that we should be looking for shouldn't be for niche little builds. They should be looking for really big, popular builds. I'm going to go ahead and start this Ritual. And normally I don't even look at the first window, but we're gonna go ahead and look. So the first thing that I see right as soon as I open this, there's a couple bows. The maces and hammers and stuff I will not check. Things I will check are ES base gloves are really popular right now. Focuses are really popular right now, right? Everybody who's playing Spark essentially is going to either need a shield or a focus or a staff in rare cases. And then boots, right? Boots. The king on boots is res and high movement speed. Those are the 2 things that you're looking for on boots. This doesn't have either, so I know that this is not something that I should probably be picking up. The thing is, if I tried to buy this, be like, oh, that's got really nice cold res on it and pretty decent increased evasion and energy shield, I'm going to try and use some orbs on this and get that movement speed on it. Don't do that. And the reason is because the boots have to be so nice already without movement speed on it to take that risk of using that exalted orb, even at a higher level, because the movement speed affects when you slam on it is actually kind of rare in the game. So if it doesn't already have movement speed on boots, it is much less likely you are going to take an item like this. When it comes to int-based jewels like this, like as you can see, 100 level 70, 113 int right there. High mana, I'm talking 150 plus, good value. If you get high mana and you get something like a res on it, that's going to be really great value, right? Because that's a prefix and a suffix on a blue item that then you can turn around and sell to somebody who's crafting. One of the best methods of keeping up with Ritual before you can really farm that GG currency out of Ritual, right? Before you start getting all your points into the Atlas tree, is farming bases to sell to people who are crafting. That is the number one piece of advice that I can give you when you are starting out in Ritual in kind of a situation like you may be. Bows, sometimes I will check. I don't check them very often unless they are a dual string bow. If I come across one of those, I'll show you guys that. That is by far the most popular base. That is the one that fires an extra projectile. But we'll go ahead and do our second ritual. Normally, the second ritual I will check just real quick to see if there's any omens sitting in the window. Right? So we got some gloves. You could check those. Nothing else really here that I would check. You could check shields. It does have dual res and decent life. I will probably skip on it, though. That's maybe worth a couple exalts with good life and res like that, just as it sits right there. So both of these are pretty low. This is a low tier item, and it's not on a great base. If this is a bombard crossbow or a D-Ed crossbow, which people much more commonly use, you could check it. Expert frayed shoes that are just like this, that don't have a tier, I'm probably going to skip. The problem is you're going to drop too many of them, so it's not worth the time checking every single one. A big part of this game is efficiency, and if you're picking up too many things, it's going to really slow you down. Expert lizard scale boots. See how it targeted these on the filter versus you've got green items, which are much more common, versus a better base. This is a dex base lizard scale item, which is one of the highest evasion rating bases. That's why on this filter it's highlighted blue. So even though it'll probably roll like crap, it's on a good base. Therefore, the base value of the item is worth more because you get more evasion out of the item than something else. All right, so we have unlocked our full page now. I will almost always check Expert Keth Raiments. I could take this item. The problem is it's 500 tribute. If it was closer to 300 tribute, I would probably take it. I am also on the first page, so I'm going to be a little bit more picky on what I roll and what I pull out of the tab. I'll check these boots down here. It's got int, dual res, some good maximum energy shield. This is one of those cases where you could potentially take this and throw an exalt at it to hope to get that that movement speed icon. I would not on this one though. The reason is because the 18 light res is a little bit low and the max energy shield is a little bit low. You can get a much higher roll than that. Also, it doesn't have mana, so you would need both mana and movement speed. Expert studded vest and a regal orb. Again, look in the description. I will post Zboob's video explaining his loot filter that was created by Jay, who's, I think, a part of his channel. Awesome channel. Definitely check them out. Shout out to Zboob. But this filter is a game changer, guys. So let's go ahead and roll to the next page. We have done all 4 filters. Little cheap uniques like that, I am probably not going to take. Now, this is a dual string bow like I was talking about. It is a blue dual string bow. It does not have a prefix on it. It does have a decent attack speed roll on it. I am going to skip it, though. Again, it's at that 500 tribute mark. I always check jewelry, especially if it's on a good res base like this. It's in kind of a middle int roll. I will probably skip on that as well. We go to the last page. We have 2 dual string bows. We have a triple damage prefix. The problem is they're all low, so I'll skip on it. Horrible. We skip that. The other bows I'm not going to check. And this ritual was a bust. So I'm going to kill our last rare and just get out of here. I guess there's a couple more ones that I got to kill. And we'll go ahead and do another map. And don't die to explodey stuff. Let's do one more map, and I will kind of go through the process one more time just to be showing you. I really, really hope that I find a good base so that we can go ahead and look at our stuff. Now, let's go ahead and ID what we did pick up. We know this is dead immediately because it's got horrible energy shield rolled on it. This is dead, no movement speed. This has got fire, the life res. This is a hybrid life armor and energy shield roll, I believe. It's got fizz leech. If this was dual res or if it had item rarity on it, I would probably maybe throw an exalt at it. But at this point, I don't think it's worth throwing an exalt at. That's garbage, and that was an accidental pickup. Let's go ahead and go into our next map. Now, this is at a pace that I'm doing way slower, but the point is just kind of show you guys what the thought process is. Blooming Field, I always lag really bad on. I think it's all the particle effects and terrain and shit. I am using a different capture method right now because I will show you guys my price checking. That is another thing that we're going to talk about here in just a second. Using a price checker. All right, first page, no dice. You could check that bonk stick. I call them bonk sticks. They're called temple malls. If you get a really high fizz roll on them, they're worth some money. But because, you know, warrior and melee is not really meta at the current moment, it's harder to get value out of things like that. The one caveat to that would be quarterstaffs. I just sold a quarterstaff for 5 div that had a great fizz and attack roll on it. Had really good prefixes and just one really good suffix on it. And it sold for 5 div. Now this filter is showing this. This is a heavy belt. This is just for Gamba. It's for using a chance orbat. If you are early in the stages, I would probably not recommend buying chance orbs or anything like that. I would recommend probably actually just selling them off. Now we check the Feathered Tiara. This is one of the things that, again, Spark uses. This one has got rarity and some int. It's got a huge mana roll. It does have life, which kind of kills it. This is actually pretty good. The problem is the life roll on this kind of kills it. Some minion builds might use this, though. Some hybrid life and ES builds. We could take this. I'm going to go ahead and leave it in the window for now, though. And the red is a belt. That means it's a rare belt. I pick up pretty much all belts. What you are looking for on belts is... goddamn vines. This is why I don't like this map. Also, I lag on it. What you're looking for on belts is tri-res and life. If you get 3 reses and a good life roll on a belt, there's a good chance it's worth a divine. All right, we got nothing in the window. We got a few quarterstaffs. You could check those real quick just for checking for high fizz rolls. We did not get any. We're going to go ahead and roll the page. We could check the boots. 20% movement speed is too low. Ideally, you are minimum looking for 25. 30 is really where we start talking about some decent exalts or divines. And then 35, which is eye level, I think 82 or above, that's when we'll really start talking money. You can sell on a good base just a blue item with just 35 movement speed, a div or more. On like, for example, Expert Stone Greaves, eye level 82, 35 movement speed, that's a div. I threw one last night in stream in the window. It sold in 10 minutes. All right, nothing good. We do have a decent fizz roll on this. I'm actually going to price check this. By the way, you can price check in the window. And I'm actually going to change this to 300, and we're going to go to 350 here. And we'll add the crit chance in there. This is Sang Divine. I think this is probably a little bit over. Now, the next step we would check, this is Exile Exchange 2, by the way, for who don't know, guys. This is essentially the new version for Path of Exile 2 of Awakened POE trade. I would highly recommend using this over something like Overwolf. There is some controversy going around Overwolf. I cannot speak badly about it. I don't know if it's good or not. What I do know is this program is good, and it comes from a fork that is from a reputable producer. So this is telling me a div. I think this is probably overshot a little bit here. It's got a pretty low crit chance roll on it as well. It's T6. It's not bad. I mean, it has the fire damage on there. That's a pretty low roll as well. And it's got the accuracy rating on there. I honestly, I think this is overvalued in trade. I would not take this. Really, I think you're looking for like 300 plus, and that's where you start talking about some money in quarterstaffs. I don't know the quarterstaff market super well, but yeah. Again, we didn't really get much here. This has a decent fizz roll on it, but it's got a low fizz roll in a dual hybrid. That's why you need to alt. You need to put your cursor over the item and alt over it so you can really check. if it's actually worth something or not. Let's go ahead and do one more after this. Exile Exchange 2. You can get it off Reddit. Just search in the window up top, Exile Exchange 2, when you're on the POE2 subreddit, and it will pop up there from Kayvon. The guy, it's a reputable person that I know, doesn't have a shitload of malware and Trojans and shit like that stuck on the item. So I would highly recommend using Exile Exchange 2. Let's go ahead and look in my Divine tab instead of running another map and kind of look at what I have in here. This is +1 to level all skills. It's got cast speed, a little bit of res. It's got spell damage. This is for probably a non-mana stacking ES build. Probably asking for 2 div here is a little bit much. I'll go ahead and actually price check this while I've got it. I'm going to take off the res, 1 to all skills. So it's just got the evasion rating set here. Let's go 270 on that. Spell damage, we'll go 50. 1 to all skills. That is, for some reason, toggled to 0. And then we'll go 20 here. Let's see if there's anything else on the market that looks similar to it. Again, it's probably that 2 to 1 divine. I'll go ahead and drop that down to 1 divine since it's been in the tab for a little while. This is kind of more of a niche focus, but somebody may want this focus. This is a higher fizz roll that I was kind of talking about. This is that 349 fizz roll. This one I will probably get a div off. It's got a kind of a little bit lower crit chance than the other one. And the suffixes aren't great, but it's probably worth a div to somebody, maybe a little bit less. I'll probably end up dropping this down at some point. 5 to all physical spell skills. This will probably never sell, to be honest with you. I'm going to drop this down to the 10 Exalt tab. This is a really, really nice amulet. I probably have this overpriced right now. Why this amulet is so good is it has mana, it has perfect spirit, it has ES, and it's got dual res. The thing about having exactly 65 spirit on an amulet like I have here is that it enables you to use some blink as well as Grim Feast, right? Plus a corruption on your helmet of at least 25 to use Archmage, Blink, and Grim Feast at all at the same time. That's why 65 total spirit amulets are so impactful at the current moment. So if you see that on an amulet, it's automatically worth money without any other stats if it's exactly 65. Keep that in mind, guys. Let's go ahead and run. Did I finish this map? I don't know if I finished this map. Yeah, okay. Let's run one more just for to see if I can find something a little bit better in the window. And 174 mana, crit chance or spells, cast speed. It's shock. This has everything good, but there's no skills on it. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that. Try for the headhunter there. No luck. We'll check our belt. We already know this is bad. The suffixes are really bad on it. The fire res, stun threshold is okay, but people don't really use it. Any of the charm mods aren't really wanted very much, so we'll go ahead and trash that. And I am sick right now, so I'm not feeling great. So if I'm a little foggy, my apologies, guys. But I wanted to get this video out to see if it could help some people kind of get going with the strategy, because it is difficult to get going on this strategy. And my frame rates are horrible right now. All right, Bad Omen. Chaos Rings are always really, really valuable. The suffixes are horrible on this. I will not take it. Really low all res, bad fizz leech. It's just, yeah, it was all bad. The prefixes were pretty meh too. There was an okay fizz roll, flat fizz roll on it, but not worth picking up. It won't sell for probably even an Exalt. We got a belt on there with 160 mana. If you see this with res on it, that's a really good belt for people who are starting out on Spark that don't have Ingenuity yet. So look for that as well on belts. Tri-res mana belts are really, really a good, easy divine for people kind of in the early stages. Now, this is a advanced antler focus tier toe, I will actually still pick this up, believe it or not, because if it rolls really well, even though it's only advanced and not expert, it can still sell for some good money. And I apologize about the frame rate drops, guys. I gotta do some problem solving. All right. Now there is a regular item level 80, a tune wand. I believe 81 is the base level that you can get +5 on all lightning skills on. I think it has to be 81. It could be 80. If anybody remembers, let me know in the comments. I would have to look it up on POE2. I can't recall right now. Let's go ahead and find our next altar. And the map is done, so we can just zoom over. And again, you can do all this without Temporalis. Obviously, Temporalis makes this faster. What you don't realize for people who don't have Temporalis yet is if you are not using the cooldown for a damage source, you are actually giving up a lot of survivability, and you are changing a lot of things around on the build in order to make it work. Okay, so we uncovered some intricate gloves. If these rolled with like something like really high mana, that's something that we could look at. The lightning resistance roll is good, but it's not good enough to pick up. The ES roll is really low. Let's go ahead and roll to our next page. Nothing else here is worth looking at. I can tell you pretty much immediately from looking at this page, nothing else is looking at here. Maybe the wicker tiara, but the feathered tiara, the wicker tiaras can be pretty good. All right, so we do have a pair of boots, bad. We have a dual string bow. It's got a pretty decent fizz roll on it. You might be able to get an exalt or two out of that, but this is really what I wanted to look at here because it's towards the edge of the screen and it is a focus, which we know is a really nice, really nice thing to be looking at. Now, unfortunately, the fire damage immediately kills this. Almost nothing is using fire damage on a focus. It's all going to be either plus skills, cast speed, mana, and ES. Those are really what you're looking for. Int rolls are really good, intelligence rolls, and then resistances. That's what you're looking for on focuses. So again, nothing great. But this is how it goes. You have to be able to be willing to do multiple of these to find something. And then you find that 5 divine item and you're really happy. All right, spell damage, physical spell damage. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that. That's terrible, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. You get the idea, guys. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more understanding. I don't want to make this video too long, but hopefully that gives you some understanding of what you should be looking for. Always be picking up rare jewelry. I don't care what base it's on. Pick all of them up. Because of ingenuity right now, rings are so important. Rings, because this belt essentially, for an 80% roll, is like adding 1.6 rings right here in this slot. So if it's essentially mirroring your rings, rings are probably the most important slot in the entire game right now, guys. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you're picking up magic bases that are a good base, things like advanced crystal focuses, wicker tiaras, feathered tiaras, attuned wands, intricate gloves, anything that's ES based like that, any boots that are a good base, right? Things like that you should be looking for, selling them, even potentially if it's a good starting item, you could craft on it yourself. But I hope this helps, guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I am going to stream on Twitch, maybe not tonight, maybe tomorrow night. I am not feeling great, but I wanted to make this video real quick, and I hope this helps somebody out there. But have a great day, guys, and stay healthy. All right, peace out, folks.